Welcome to NovoEDTalks, where we reveal real-world strategies and expert insights from learning and development professionals. In every episode, we chat with practitioners, course designers, learning strategists, and business leads. We hear about their experiences in the learning industry and predictions for the profession and the trends that they're seeing. But before we get started, a little bit about NovoEd. Founded at Stanford's Social Algorithms Lab in 2012, NovoEd is a people-centric, capability-building platform that combines social and collaborative learning to drive performance readiness at scale. Through cohort-based experiences centered around human interaction, NovoEd taps into collective wisdom, placing each learner at the center of perspective, application, and expertise. Large enterprises such as 3M, GE, Marriott International, and Nestle partner with NovoEd to accelerate their critical initiatives, reconnect teams, and achieve rapid alignment through learning that is felt, experienced, and swiftly transformed into impact. Now, let's meet our guest for today's episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NovoEDTalks podcast, a space for training trailblazers to get real. My name is Melissa Fisk. I am the producer of the NovoEDTalks podcast, and today we have a very special episode for you. In fact, today's episode is the first of two episodes we are doing as a sort of season one finale of NovoEDTalks. One thing we've noticed throughout season one is that there's a lot of excitement around what the future holds when it comes to AI in learning and development. Based on the insights provided by industry experts in podcast episodes throughout the year, we've come up with 4 core themes that have emerged regarding AI's role in learning and development that we'd like to leave our listeners with to consider. These themes collectively highlight AI's transformative potential in L&D, emphasizing both its opportunities and the critical considerations needed for responsible and effective implementation across various organizational contexts. But rather than just recap thoughts and opinions on AI, we thought we'd gather a group of L&D and AI enthusiasts to go a little deeper into what some of those core themes really mean for our future. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our 3 guests for this special season 1 finale series. Our first guest is Judy Albers, Director of Research Enablement at I4CP. As a learning strategist, Judy has helped many of the world's most admired companies, including JP Morgan & Chase and Bank One, create collaborative digital learning experiences backed by cognitive science and research on web behavior. Her consulting projects have earned over a dozen awards from across the learning, media, and marketing fields. Judy, welcome to NovoEDTalks.
Thanks, Melissa.
Our next guest is Cara Halter, the Senior Director of Global Learning Innovation at GP Strategies. Cara consults with clients on digital learning transformation, creation of innovative digital learning experiences, and learner-centric design principles to maximize business impact through learning. Cara has 25 years of experience working with Fortune 500 companies and a master's degree in instructional design and technology. Cara, welcome to NovoEDTalks.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Looking forward to it.
Our third guest is Matt Donovan, Senior Vice President and Chief Learning and Innovation Officer at GP Strategies. Matt is a recognized name in learning, bringing more than 25 years of experience crafting learner-centric solutions and leading high-impact development teams. Not only has he received a large assortment of industry awards, including being named one of Training Magazine's top 10 international trainers under 40, his articles are regularly published and presented at a variety of national and international conferences. Matt, welcome to NovoEDTalks.
Glad to be here. I'm telling you, this is going to be fun.
All right. Well, let's get started. Our first core theme has to do with the strategic integration of AI and comprehensive support. Here are some sound bites from our NovoEDTalks guests throughout the season. Here's Andrew Vecchiarelli, Senior Manager of Learning Strategy and Skills at Grant Thornton.
And the reason why I started with AI is because the prevalence of it, because it's always been there, but now it's just been a lot more accessible. People see the value of AI and are either terrified of it or really excited by it, which is leading to more strategic initiatives around maybe we need to figure it out. But it always needs to be in service of to what end? And I would say without a strong skills strategy, that's the piece where AI is only going to get you so far. Because if you can't identify what are the skills that is actually going to augment, what does that then mean to your talent pool? And what are we going to do with the talent that maybe is can be moved to other areas, or how do we upskill them so that they're better able to make the right decisions in the way that things are implemented or that they're using it every day? These are all at its core foundational to a really strong skill strategy.
Here's Samantha Resches, Program Director of Learning and Organizational Development at Northwell Health.
Now starting to see like all these discussions around AI, I think it's changing the way that we build out development journeys for team members. I mean, even things like LinkedIn Learning's AI coaching tool, right? How do you kind of incorporate that as an asset or as a supplement to what you're offering kind of from, a holistic experience? So I think it's really exciting to see the continued growth of the digital landscape in L&D and what that means really for us in terms of opportunities that never existed before, but just also keeping in mind that as we continue to incorporate these new things, we have to, train our team members on how to use them so that they can really get the most bang for their buck, so to speak.
And now we'll hear from Brian Ciccatelli, Learning Technologist at HP.
I mean, my role as a learning technologist is basically to look at the platforms and technology that we're using for learning, and like try and design that future. Like, where do we want to be in 3 to 5 years? And obviously, no one knows where technology is going to be in 3 to 5 years, but that's what I'm doing. So trying to figure out like what's AI, what's potential. Like, I know it doesn't exist right now, but it'll get there in a year or two. And I love that. And so I love talking to a lot of these vendors who are using AI in really unique and innovative ways, because even if it's not there yet, it's going to get there. We talked about, I was at a session yesterday, and they talked about that. And they said, is AI going to replace humans? And the answer is absolutely no. But humans with AI will replace humans without AI in the workplace. It's really critical that we all embrace AI and understand how it can benefit us, both with productivity and creativity, decision-making, the whole shebang. It can do anything that you can, but you need to know how to harness it.
Judy, Cara, and Matt, let's dive a little bit deeper. How do L&D professionals ensure effective AI integration for everyone, not just a select few, into their programs?
Great question, Melissa. I think about how we have really 3 responsibilities when it comes to AI. We have to use AI to create better content. We have to automate our own processes, so actually transform our work, and we have to upskill the organization in the use of AI. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in using AI in our work that we're not thinking about the fact that everything we're learning is what the rest of the organization needs to be learning as well. And so my feeling on it is that we're about improving performance, not just getting better and faster at the way we've always delivered learning under a bunch of constraints. The classroom is an artificial construct. So if we focus all of our efforts on running AI training courses or making our courses, rolling out more courses better and faster, we've really missed the boat in rethinking work. And the way that I think about it as an instructional designer is, should I be making GPTs? Should I be making autonomous AI agents that not only do work for you, but teach you how to think about the work that you're doing? If I make them well, they are reflective. And one of the biggest risks that we face in the use and the rollout of AI in our organizations is that experts will latch onto these tools and become a lot better, and they won't bring the novices along with them. So the novices won't have that personal connection, the nuance that they need in order to become good at both their jobs and at using AI on the job.
Yeah, for sure, Judy. I think, whenever I start talking about AI with anyone, you end up in this conversation about how AI is just fundamentally going to change the way that we work. Much like some other big revolutions have done in the past. And I think we're in another one now where,
20 years from now, when you're talking to the young people at work, they're going to be like, what? You did work without AI? How is that possible? So I think that's where we're headed. But trying to figure out how you deal with that now is sort of mind-boggling, because the pace at which that's happening, and the way that change is happening, it's just crazy. It's sort of like, really makes you stop and think, like, how do we teach everyone how to become that expert, or how to bring somebody along with you? And I think for me, especially as we start talking about the adoption that everyone needs to do, is that I want to shift a little bit away from the teaching, that not necessarily teaching the how-tos, but focusing more on the mindset shifts and the change resiliency and the critical thinking processes, and the way that, like, teaching people to be more self-sufficient to learn these things on their own, because we as an L&D department are not going to be able to keep up. Like, anything that we create now to teach somebody how to use AI is going to be not very helpful in 3 months or 6 months, and definitely not in 18 months,
Unless we teach you how to think.
Right. So that's where I think I am right now, is we're really having to shift to away from the how-tos and more to the, how to think, how to just get your mind into a different place and be ready for the change that is coming at you.
I like both those perspectives. I think they bring a lot, but for me, I think you have to kind of even take a little more of a step back. And I think we think historically about the workforce being primarily human. We think about the way we measure skills for humans. We talk about how we compensate humans. But in the future, it's going to be human plus AI is the workforce. So the workforce won't be just humans using tool. AI will actually become part of the way we get things done. They will be our peers. They may be our managers. And this, I'm pushing the boundary. I don't like the fact when somebody told me that AI might be my manager, I really chafed at that. But when we start to break down the work and how we get it done in a human plus AI, there are things that AI is going to be good at and things that humans are good at. So if we take the traditional way we look at the work and the workforce and how we do that, and rethink that into a human plus AI, when will we need more human, less AI? When would we need more AI and less humans? I think we start to really take a step back. And this is, if we get that bigger perspective, that's how we start to bring the entire population forward, is when we do this. And I borrow the example in that human plus AI from a rugby legend. He described, intelligence and wisdom, and AI is going to bring intelligence at scale. It's always going to do that. But the humans need to bring the wisdom. And so to kind of clarify that, and I love the example he talked about, intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing to not put it into a fruit salad. And that's the thing, is how do we help the humans in the relationship gain and grow wisdom collectively as a population, so that they can be the humans we need them to be in the workforce of human plus AI. And only when we take a fundamental step in the way in which we get the work done and the very nature of the workforce, do we start to not leave people behind. If we start to think, oh, well, some humans will do this and some humans will do that. No, it's humans plus AI to be able to do that. And we'll pick it up later, I know, but it can present this problem of a wisdom challenge. Is, it's not just how do we integrate folks, but how will we start to build wisdom over time, when the way we used to build wisdom is now all the tasks and activities relegated to AI. But I know we got upcoming questions. We'll talk more about that. But my first big point is really bring forward that human plus AI workforce concept.
I've seen Connor Grennan's work on this. Connor's one of my favorite people to follow. And one of his hot takes is that the future belongs to English majors. And I think about my own liberal arts education. I look at how in higher education, you're seeing liberal arts majors get cut and cut and cut in favor of STEM majors. So what you have is this shrinking of the liberal arts being taught in higher ed at the very moment when AI is making a lot of the sort of rote training that you get in a STEM curriculum obsolete. And so it makes me wonder if in corporate learning, we're going to start becoming the liberal arts educators of professionals, the ones who teach critical thinking, how to look at texts and their contexts and understand the bigger picture, so that you can guide an AI that has no context and no nuance.
But helping those humans move from, did I write a simple communication to convey a point, to saying, can I inspire the human spirit to do things it's not done before? And the question is, how do we move to engage to do these things? I think it'll be a long time before I'm ever inspired by a bot. But I think this is where the humans continue to be a part of that. And how do we help the folks be the humans? This is all about, I mean, a lot of people think about adoption of AI as a technology initiative. It's not. It's a human condition initiative that's changed humans become somebody, the promise of who he's always been. And there lies a double-edged sword. The reward is we become more human. The challenge is that, do I really want to be more human?
Well, you might not, but
no, I mean, no, that's the question. Do we want to connect with more? Do we want to be able to do, these are the things we want to be able to do? Correct. Yes, there are days where I'm like, please give me a bot. But I'm a people person.
We're all people in some capacity, right? Like that's what makes us unique. Is that we need that human person. Yeah, we need that human connection.
Some are just people. Yep.
Yeah, I love that analogy that you gave though, Matt, that like AI brings the intelligence and human brings the wisdom. And so what are we like, how considering like how each one of those and then human plus AI actually like affects the implementation, I think is huge to how we're considering it or how we should be considering it, especially in L&D. Let's jump into our next core theme, which is that of AI's ability to enhance learning efficiency and personalization. Here are some sound bites from our NovoEDTalks guests throughout the season. First up, we'll hear from Jennifer Sutherland from TrustWave.
I don't think it's going to eliminate L&D roles, and AI is not going to do that. What it's going to do is allow us to change focus and spend less time on some of the tactical stuff, the design nitty-gritty stuff, and allow us to do more of the strategy, the behind the scenes, the not just doing the intake form for a training, but spending time really understanding the business and how it's going to impact it. Maybe implementing new technologies that can do something kind of cool that we haven't had a chance to do. So AI to me is the number one thing that I think is going to change our industry over the next couple years.
And here's Teresa Zeller, Global Head of Learning Creation at Merck.
What I really want to be able to tackle with AI is translation, which becomes a huge challenge for us operating in 150 countries. I firmly believe that we learn best in our native language or in our primary language. I also firmly believe, and we are standing up a whole capability around what we call localization. I firmly believe that you can build a lot in the center, but every business context, every culture around the globe is a little bit different. And you need to be able to contextualize so that it's relevant to me. And I don't just sort of organ rejection go, oh, they clearly don't understand what I'm dealing with, or, this learning doesn't apply to me because they said this and don't they know? Right. Yeah. So, really being able to contextualize in the work, in the business context, in the cultural context, and in the language is really important for learning to be relevant. And I think AI is going to be a game changer there.
And here's a quick clip from episode 15 from Sheila Jagannathan.
AI plays a huge role in very efficient and cost-effective ways of translating learning. And also AI plays a huge role in learning analytics and decision-making for learning.
And lastly, we hear from Lindsay Russell from an enterprise medtech organization.
AI, right, is going to change how we educate. It's already started to change the way we create content. So I really think it's going to change our landscape. And I think we're really going to start to see that hyper-personalization to create and curate that customized learning experience, tailoring individual learning needs and preferences. And I see a shift to more experiential learning. So trying to situate learners within real world settings instead of just giving them scenarios and simulations to work through, actually getting them out of their chair into the situation and using that real world setting. It's really one of the true ways to enable that critical knowledge transfer.
All right, Judy, Matt, and Cara, let's dive a little bit deeper. How should L&D professionals use AI to create personalized and more efficient learning experiences?
Number one thing I think about personalization is that AI is capable of asking me questions and figuring out what I know, what I don't know, and then correcting what I don't know. So when I think about companies like Citi, and Cameron Hendrick, the Chief Learning Officer at Citi, has spoken about this publicly. I will also, by the way, give you, Melissa, a number of links to everyone that I mention in this podcast so you can learn more. But Cameron will say, when I went to our CFO and I talked about this personalized learning platform, and how we were going to be able to ensure that everybody knew compliance. You think about all of the companies that are always like, we got to do compliance training again, and as a learner, you're saying that's the same stuff. Why can't you just see what I know and teach me only what I don't know? And the CFO said to Cameron, that personalization is really great, but the data that you're bringing to us as a company, where you can actually tell us what we know and what we don't know as a workforce, is so invaluable to us. You don't need to sell me on the value of the training. The value of knowing what our workforce knows is incredible. So for me, that's one side of it, is that personalization is getting that data and filling the knowledge gaps, bringing everybody to 100% mastery. Mm-hmm. And that's something we've struggled with forever. And then the other side of it is,
are we there yet though, Judy? So that's the question that I think I ask. I keep hearing that a lot lately of we have the data and it can tell you what you know and what you don't know. And I kind of have to go, but can it? Because I agree with your statement of AI is really good at helping you through that when you ask it the right questions. Or you provide it the right data. And I think that's where we're still very much struggling. Of personalization has so much potential, but in order to get to that level of personalization, it needs the right inputs. And so that's going to be the next challenge, I think
right? That level of personalization is an AI powered platform for learning that I'm talking about. Something like, say, Sana Labs is a good example of that. General purpose AI, that's about me being able to ask the right questions. But I think we have been lazy as a profession in assessing knowledge. We don't assess people's knowledge and skills very well. And if you're not doing that, then your data is going to suck.
Yeah. Yep. I think for me, it's, that we really need to rethink when we say personalization, what we really mean, in order to change the way that we deliver it. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of what we're doing is we're incrementally extending this definition of personalization from a very org-centric standpoint. I'm going to personalize it based off of what I think you need. I'm going to give you more of that. And I'm going to create a spread and drive more of that. When reality, what it really should drive, the personalization should flip to me, personalized from the point of the end user, not the organization. So the difference is being able to say, I've got data on the stuff you're doing, let me feed you some stuff, versus I walk in and I've got a personalized learning bot that I've had for, at least a better part of my life, maybe even since birth. Great, I get my social security number, I get my personalized learning bot, and it grows with me and understands as I do. So I come to your organization, I share my data where I have skill. I start to onboard with you and I start to interact with it. Basically adapts what it's doing. Now, as an organization, it provides almost that atomic structure of assets of which my bot reconstitutes for what I need, when I need it, how I need it, whether it's convergent tasks to get better at a skill, or whether it's I need to innovate, so break out and take me someplace new to be able to do that. But it's really shifting that paradigm from saying it's not getting better at org-centric trying to predict, to actually saying that tracking the end user and then it reassembles based on that. Now, what that changes is the very premise of what we think an L&D organization does. I no longer create predicted, highly structured, just a broader number of them. I'm actually creating the atomic elements that can be reconstituted into molecules of relevance for the individual on their terms when they do that. And when we do that, man, that really changes the fabric of it, the role of data, the type of data we collect, and how we really bring that. But I think that's why we have to challenge. We're incrementally trying to make a prop plane better, and we need to think about how are we building rocket ships, because we'll never break Earth's gravity if we don't really rethink this problem. And that's why I think the personalization conversation has a ways to go.
Yeah, I like what you just said there, Matt. And I was thinking about this the other day of like, what is L&D really responsible for creating anymore, right? Like, is it a 20-minute e-learning course on topic X? And I had this realization that maybe, I don't, this is just idea, right? Like radical concept. Maybe what we're building is content for not the human learners to consume, but we're building the content for the AI to consume
and deliver.
Because, right, that then the human gets to go to the AI and say, this is what I need. And what we L&D have created are all the little nuggets and pieces and things to, to your atomic, kind of idea there, Matt. AI needs to go someplace to find all the nuggets and have the answers, but then AI can put it together for that person, not necessarily us putting it together. And I think
what I'm doing right now on my job.
Right.
Yeah, that's how my job has changed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I had this little like, okay, what's a silly example of that? And I think where my brain went was how many times today, in terms of when we start talking about the modern learner and how do people learn and whatever, the example a lot of us go to is when you need to do something around the house, where do you go to get the answers, right? And it's YouTube, right? Like we go to YouTube, we find, like, we type in a question and we're like, somebody someplace has done this and they're going to tell me how. Whether it's installing a toilet or a garbage disposal or whatever the thing is around the house. Yeah. But when you do that, what it comes back with now are all these pre-produced things, right? So there might be 20 videos out there about how to install a garbage disposal, but not all of them are going to be in your house with the one that you bought with the tools that you have available. So like, how cool would it be is if you could go to a YouTube-like content video generator and say, how do I install a garbage disposal, but this is the one that I bought. This is what my, take a picture. This is what my sink looks like. And these are the tools that I have available in my garage. So can you now create a video for me that includes these specifics? That's like a brand new thing that's going to, be very specific to my situation, my need, my, way of life right now. So yeah, it was just, those kinds of ideas just sort of bouncing around.
But I love what you did is, you've just uncovered one of the upskilling needs in the world. It's when I stop building for you and you now take agency over your learning element. Now you got to ask your question, like, what's my first moment of like trying to install your garbage disposal? Great. But now I need quick access to it's leaking water. I followed the 7 steps. What do I do when it went wrong?
Right.
And right now it's like, that's a bad time to try and Google, what do I do, and sort through 1,000 YouTube videos. The question is, how do I start to prepare myself for the full learning journey from gaining some general insights conceptually to execution, the first application, but when it went wrong, or more importantly, I now want to add a different kind of piece or hook up a water softener to this element. How do I bring that in? So those are the kind of things that now, if I shift that, one of the upskilling things is instead of the organization chewing it up for you, you got to think about how do you actually need to grow, deliver value. And that's why the systems we build have to create that space for agency for you to step into the gap, but you also need the skills to think through and do that. That's a whole new game of what we're teaching people how to learn, not what to learn.
Goes back to what Judy and I were just talking about before of like, what are we really teaching now? We've got to teach those critical thinking skills and teach people to fish for themselves, to learn how to ask the right questions, give it the right inputs in order to get back what you actually need.
And then the body of knowledge, because there still is always a body of knowledge. The company needs you to understand its products. The company needs you to understand the regulations that we have to adhere to. But if you can structure the body of knowledge in such a way that it meets all 5 moments of learning need, and here I'm referring to the work of Bob Mosher and Con Gottfredson, it's like, I'm only learning something for the first time once. After that, I'm adding to my knowledge, or something's gone wrong, like the pipe is leaking or something has changed. And so in all of those situations, I think as a learning professional, it's my job to make sure that the AI can teach people at their moments of need. and that it can balance out this, curiosity and helping them at the moments of need, while also being able to say to the company, people do understand the products and the regulations, and all people understand what the company needs them to be skilled at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we need to teach them how to hack the system, going back to the human wisdom to say the system's not giving me what I need. I mean, I love the 5 moments of need. It's so end user centric. I love that. It's like, when do I need to learn something? But all the first 5 moments really are focused on performance norming. How do I get better at a task? But what if I need to innovate, do something I didn't do yesterday? Now we need to break the algorithms historically that we've built around org-centric convergence to now I need to figure out how to jailbreak my recommender system to say, give me what I need when I need to innovate. I mean, how do I know to give me something different, but something of value that's different? Well, that's the art of being able to ask and the system to have those relationships. And we haven't even gotten to those layers. We're still struggling on the convergence, solving convergence. But I mean, we've got divergence because the disruption requires us to think differently, and we've got to be able to do that. But yeah, how to use the system and then break the system intelligently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like right now we're still focused on how do we do the things that we've always done more efficiently, which there's some huge wins there, right? Like, I mean, translations, huge win. Absolutely. Let's use AI for those kinds of things. But you're right. I think how do we start to think about this in more disruptive ways where we're not just trying to do what we've always done faster or better? How can we use these tools to like completely break the mold and come up with a whole new way of learning?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the opportunity for us to really do something different? Or will it just be like the latest one of curation that never really manifested into the paradigm shift we'd really hoped it would? Can we overcome as learning practitioners? Can we not do the things that we have done to ourselves for decades? And I say that as a recovering instructional designer. I say that with love and the spot. It is hard to overcome that muscle memory, but it's like, take a step back. It takes a lot of courage to really take that step back, challenge what we've been doing, or at some point they will bring other people in who think differently because we couldn't. Mm-hmm. And that is the question. It is an opportunity. This is the biggest put me in coach moment for L&D I have ever seen. It is. We have 2 paths. Pick your Robert Frost, whatever you want to do. The point is either we're going to go AI will supplant us and we won't need L&D, or L&D will become the very thing for the workforce which drives the organization and becomes integrated in everything we do. We have 2 paths. Which will we choose to be a part of? That I think is the big thing that we're faced, and it's not easy.
Yeah, let's not end up at the path where the end of the road is more stuff in our already cluttered LMS catalogs that are not helpful, that we just created a lot more of it a lot faster and published it there. Let's not choose that path.
Well, that wraps up part 1 of our season 1 finale of NovoEDTalks. We will keep the discussion going when it comes to AI and L&D in part 2. You can listen to part 2 now on the NovoEd website or wherever you listen to your podcasts.